Welcome to the Chris Hanna Show. Welcome to another episode of the Chris Hanna Show. Today I'm going to be talking about essential entrepreneurial traits. There are some key characteristics that are important for anybody who's considering being an entrepreneur. And even if you are an entrepreneur or you have a side hustle, these are some traits that you might want to think about and take stock of and really self-reflect to figure out, do you demonstrate these traits? And if you do, great, you're set up for success. If you don't demonstrate them, that's okay too. There's an opportunity to tweak your approach or to learn new skills to see if you can pull out some of this insight. So the number one trait I want to talk about is independence. Entrepreneurs are independent people, independent thinkers. They sometimes have their own thought process and decide they need to go their own way. They don't want to rely on others. They ultimately decide that they need to work for themselves. And they can show this in a variety of different ways. You could be an employee but have an entrepreneurial tendency. You could have a side hustle. You could have some sort of entrepreneurial viewpoint within your organization where you really own the type of business or the department that you're working for. But entrepreneurs are independent thinkers. Now, with that independence comes a level of persistence and determination. Entrepreneurs, when they are passionate about what they are going after and what they're working towards, they are determined. They are persistent. They are willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done. They don't care or even really think about the hours that they put in because they love what they do. Entrepreneurs also come with a certain degree of self-confidence. Look, I think it's important that people have confidence not only just in themselves, but also within their abilities. I've said earlier in a podcast episode and in a blog post I had that there are 3 keys to success. I think you need to be authentic, bold, and confident. And self-confidence is so critical if you're going to be an entrepreneur. You need to be confident enough to sell your vision and your idea to people. No one's going to buy something from you if you don't believe in it yourself. I think that's something that's critical to the success of an entrepreneur, and that's something that you need to remember. Entrepreneurs also tend to be creative. With a high level of creativity, whether it's coming from a source of passion for what they're doing, or it's just creativity because of the limited resources that they might have, especially when they start out, you have to have creativity in order to be successful as an entrepreneur. And it doesn't have to be artistic creativity. A lot of people think that when they hear the word creativity, but creativity can come in many different forms. The other word I would actually use for creativity might be resourcefulness. How resourceful are you? If you are an entrepreneur, you need to be resourceful. You might not be able to lean on others as much as somebody would be able to in a bigger organization. So I think there's a level of creativity that's associated with entrepreneurs, and it's an important trait that people need to remember. Now, to be successful as an entrepreneur, you also have to have a certain degree of organizational skills while being goal-oriented. There's a lot on your plate if you're an entrepreneur or solopreneur, and to keep focused on everything and to make sure that you are staying as in balance as possible, you have to be organized. But you also need to know what you're working towards. And having a goal or a series of goals is vital. A couple episodes ago, I talked about the importance of goal setting, and I listed 7 steps for practical goal setting. And I said it's important to define your goal, and I think that's an important part for all entrepreneurs and all leaders, really, is to define what that goal is, whether it's a long-term, mid-term, or short-term goal, and you need to work towards it. What are the incremental steps that are required for you to be successful? When you do know what those steps are, you are able to organize your day, your time, your effort to work to achieve that. If you look at a lot of entrepreneurs, especially ones who have become very successful, you find that they are also visionary. They're visionary in the sense that they not only think about products or services that don't exist yet and they help create that, but they also can take something and twist it around and make it better, or they see a need that doesn't maybe apparently exist, but they make it exist. They have a vision for what the world can be like. They're very aspirational. They're inspirational as well, but they're most likely a visionary. They see what others do not. Some have referred to entrepreneurs as sometimes ahead of their time. They see what's coming before it becomes a trend. Now, when you talk about seeing what's coming, there's also a high level of risk-taking and a tolerance for failure that's important. And you know what? I'll say essential for entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs have a high risk tolerance. They're willing to take a chance, and they make bets. And they make bets on themselves. They're willing to go all in for what they believe is their vision. And if it fails, some will struggle and some will find it hard to recover. But for some, that's just an opportunity to learn. I've always viewed it that way, in that I would rather try and fail than try, fail, and give up. If I fail, great, I learned something. And if I was successful, I'm sure there's something still I can learn. But I'm okay with trying and failing because I know that I'm going to get better as a result. I actually believe that I think it's important that you fail as many times as you possibly can. If you get success right out of the gate, that can go to your head and then you get sloppy. There's nothing wrong with getting humbled a little bit and failing. Now, when you talk about that propensity to try and fail and sometimes do it often and taking those risks, there's also an essential entrepreneurial trait that I think is really important, is that they have a level of perseverance and they're hardworking. We talk about perseverance and hard work. That's what the life of an entrepreneur is. You might be putting in more hours initially to grow your business, to take it to the next level. But a lot of them, if you ask them, they're not tired as a result of working on their business because they're excited. It's what fulfills them. It's what drives them. It's what keeps them going. They don't mind the hard work because they recognize that it's only through their hard work that their vision can become a reality. There are so many people that I know who have left the corporate world and they've started out on their own to try and create their own business. And while they did it while working in the corporate world and then they make the transition, yes, they worked more hours doing multiple roles maybe, but they're happier as a result because they've got a high level of fulfillment. They don't care about how much time it takes because their working now is an investment in their future. They see the big picture. And then that leads me to the last entrepreneurial trait that I think is important to mention, and that is commitment. Entrepreneurs are people who are going to also commit themselves to action. They're going to do what needs to be done. Entrepreneurs need to do something. They feel compelled and they commit to action because they know that is the only thing you can do. You have to go all in. You can't be 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out of the door when you are an entrepreneur. You have to be willing to commit, to make the sacrifices, because sacrifices are needed to be successful. But that's what they do. They commit. They demonstrate it with what they do, with what they say. They go all in and they bet on themselves. I'm going to run through the list of essential entrepreneurial traits. Again, top to bottom. Number 1, independence. Number 2, they are persistent and they are determined. Number 3, entrepreneurs are self-confident. Number 4, entrepreneurs display a high degree of creativity. They are also very organized and goal-oriented. Number 6, I would classify entrepreneurs as visionary. Number 7, and this is one of my favorites again, entrepreneurs, they have a high tolerance for failure and they are not afraid to take a risk. Number 8, they show perseverance and they are hard workers. And number 9, they show commitment. When you demonstrate these essential entrepreneurial traits, you are more likely to be successful and maybe happier. Now, you don't have to be an entrepreneur to have these traits. If you do, obviously, more power to you. But if you demonstrate these traits, even as a contributor in an organization working for someone else, these traits can help propel your career to the next level. But ultimately, you need to figure out what it is you want to do. Whatever you do, it's your choice, because you are the entrepreneur of your own life. You decide where you go, what you do, and when. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Chris Hanna Show. As always, the latest episodes are available to listen and subscribe to on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can also follow The Chris Hanna Show on LinkedIn, Instagram, or Twitter for more resources and solutions, including blog posts, toolkits, ebooks, speaking sessions, and more. Visit chrishanna.ca today. We look forward to connecting again with you soon for another episode of The Chris Hanna Show.